Hello, my wonderful spirit guides. Today I'm going to be reacting to Radiohead OK Computer. I'm really looking forward to this because this is one of my stepdad's favourite, one of my stepdad's favourite albums. Yeah, that's how you say it. I was like, one of my stepdads? It sounds like I've got multiple stepdads, but no, it didn't work like that. My English was fine. But yeah, it's a favourite album of his. And I feel like I've probably heard quite a few of the songs growing up, but I wouldn't know them by name. I don't know if I know all of them. I feel like we listened to a few in the car, but definitely not all of them. Not that I remember. Definitely not that I remember. But so I'm looking forward to it on a sentimental kind of basis. And I also loved In Rainbows. I loved it so much, and the feedback I got on that video was so wonderful. It felt like I entered another realm of reacting, a little pocket to the side. I can't explain it, just I had a very calm feeling whilst listening to their music. It felt different. Something that I could just be calm with. I can't even explain it. It doesn't really make that much sense, but it's just like I could analyse it and be thoughtful and feeling and emotional in some ways, and just, I don't know, it's really difficult to describe, but it's just a more of a toned down feeling for me, which I really enjoyed. So I really wanted to get back into that feeling again today and react to some Radiohead. I really am looking forward to it. So if you'd like to go on Patreon and watch this video entirely uncut, which means unedited, which means not chopped up, like the audio isn't all chopped up and everything, then yes, there's a tier for that on Patreon. I also have a song request tier as well, where I do a big video with like 1 to 2 song requests within the video, and I'm trying to do that bi-weekly. And also there's another tier for album requests, and now there's another tier for movie requests. The prices are a little steeper on the movie and album requests. That's just because they take so much time, like a lot of time, and I always I try to put my 100% effort into every video I make. So yeah, with the time it takes and so on, yeah, it kind of batches up. But so if you're willing to wait, you know, whether it be a month or two, and then receive a video tailored, you know, to an album that you like, then I would absolutely go for it. But take your time to think about it and so on, and it will be done. They always get done. And I put as much effort into it as I do any video that I do. And you know, the album you choose will go to YouTube as well. So if you wanted my reaction to go to YouTube, it just would, because I've got a new tier price for albums, which means that they automatically go to YouTube and so on. So yeah, just something to think about. Yeah, it's up to you, of course. But also I have a tip jar. If you're not really wanting anything from me and you're just enjoying what I'm giving out, you can send me a little tip. Literally any amount that you want, any amount that you can do. It just helps me keep doing these videos, basically. I mean, that's a great thing, right? So, and then follow me on Instagram. I shall follow you back. I also have a Discord now, so you can chat to other like-minded people about music or whatever you want, really. Like, comment, subscribe, because I love reading your comments. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into it. The first song is called Airbag, and I do also have the lyrics here as well. Alrighty, let's go. So, Airbag. The instrument dimensions, they're great. This is an outro. It's kind of shoegaze. Like dream rock sort of feeling. Okay. I didn't want to pause that one because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of it. I just wanted to analyze as much as I could and tell you what I thought now. Like, I found it interesting when it started. It felt like the instruments were coming in one by one, right? And it felt like it was setting up the atmosphere. Like, so you'd get a little bit on this side, a guitar, then another guitar on this side, and it would start building in different ways. So it sets up like dimensions, and it sets up the space, the musical space. So you could feel like it's almost widening as it goes. And this is way before it said anything about in an interstellar burst. And then when it said the interstellar burst, I'm about to say the universe, it instantly shifted my mind into feeling like I'm in like the atmosphere between the earth and space, like the whole turbulent atmosphere part where it's all like there was slight feelings of that underneath it all. It had some kind of turbulence to it, but it also had like a spacey feeling to it, so it felt like the in-between almost. And you can imagine, as he says, in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the universe, you can imagine him bursting through the atmosphere, literally, to save the universe or whatever. But I think there's something more to the song than it being about space and stuff, because he also says stuff like, I'm born again in a fast German car. I'm amazed that I survived. An airbag saved my life. And the song is called Airbag. Like, is he actually on about a car crash? And he says in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the universe. I don't know. Is he saying like, I came back to life, and by coming back to life, I have a new lease of life, something that drives me forward to do something as big as saving the universe? I don't know. I guess I'll look into that. But I love the dimensions of the sounds. It oddly reminded me of House of Cards from the In Rainbow song. Not that it sounded the same, but it had that same feeling that I experienced in that song. Because I remember when I did that song, reacted to that song, I said it felt like abandoned like office building. You could hear the wind coming through where like the arches where the windows used to be. It almost felt like that. And this had that wind kind of feeling as well. So yeah, that was interesting. But I am going to read the about section for extra info. Airbag is the first song of OK Computer. The song is somewhat autobiographical. Tom had been involved in a car accident roughly a decade before. His life saved by an airbag. He touched on this fear before this track, most notably on the aptly titled The Bends B-side Killer Cars. Lucky, the 11th track on OK Computer, similarly discusses a feeling of superhuman reincarnation following from a motor accident. On Lucky, however, the protagonist is pulled from the wreck of a plane. Oh, that's interesting. Talking about turbulence. Okay. It also says here for extra, in a Rolling Stone article on the form of an expansive oral history of OK Computer, lead singer Tom York and producer Nigel Godrich offered the following insight into the song's meaning and composition. York said, I was really frightened of cars back then, but Airbag was almost the opposite of that. If you get into a crash or a potentially disastrous situation and walk away, you feel 1,000 times more alive regardless of what that is. It's more about that. I was also sort of experimenting with the way that Michael Stipe wrote lyrics, where you've got this thing of semi-nonsense, but when you add them together, it has a cumulative expression of something. That's interesting, and I was kind of touching on that in the sense of when you get that new lease of life, you want to do more with your life. You have a new lease of life, a new va-va-voom for life. What's the word? And you yeah, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Also, Godrich said, The drum loop on that song was inspired by DJ Shadow. It's a departure from a rock band. What happened was I told Tom and Phil to sit there for a couple of hours and create a drum loop. And a day and a half later, they were like, okay, we've got it. But it wasn't very exciting sounding. So I ran it through Johnny's pedal board and we just did 3 takes of him just like doing all sorts of shit to it and we put it all in. That's cool. And it's funny because I said it gave me a shoegaze kind of feel. And I don't know if I mentioned this maybe on the last Radiohead video. I won't go into detail just in case I did. But, you know, shoegaze was very much, I don't know, I feel like I've mentioned it in a few videos, but the reason shoegaze is called shoegaze is because guitarists would usually be playing the guitars and staring at their feet because of the amount of pedal work that goes on into shoegaze music, all the delay, the wah-wah, the phases, all the different crazy sounds you get, distortion, reverb. They're constantly moving their feet around their little pedal boards at the bottom. So, and it's funny that they're saying they put the drums through a pedal board. That's very experimental, but it still has the shoegaze kind of feeling to it, I guess. Yeah, very, very cool. Okay, good song. I like that. Got me intrigued for the rest of it. But anyway, next song is called Paranoid Android. Oh, the clarity on this one. They often use like shakers, tambourines, you know. Oh, nice. It's got a kind of classical Spanishy guitar sound. His voice. And it gently comes back to the verse. The guitar work. Has so many moving parts. Oh, come on, that is nice. Ambition makes you look pretty ugly. The call and response of initially. Sorry, I'll tell you in a minute. I love this song. Sounds like Jeff Buckley. Yeah. It's like chaos. That's good. So haunting. It's like a hymn. Theatrical as well. Vampiric. Just throwing out so many words. His voice. It's almost classical. Actually so masterful. Incredible. It's like chaos again. I was just thinking about that chaos, and then like my eyes skimmed to the song title, and I was like, and I read it, Paranoid Android, and I could imagine that guitar, I can imagine like an android kind of robot, right? And I can imagine that being like the personification of its paranoia, that sound, that chaotic sound being the paranoia. I don't know, I just suddenly thought of that when I looked at the title, but what a song. I'm going to take these off for a minute just because they annoy me. But wow, what a song. What a song. I repeat. How that started to how it ended, two completely different songs. And, that's not like unlike anything I've heard before, but the way they did it certainly was unlike anything I've heard. But I can definitely hear how they've influenced others. So twinkly in parts, in the start. I know I when I'm listening, I throw out words sometimes just because I'm not going to remember everything afterwards. So I kind of throw out some words in amongst it so you know exactly what I'm thinking. I've already got, it sparks so much thought, it's hard to remember it all, but it's all sparkly almost and like twinkly and all these things playing at once. And I was going to say it's oddly chaotic but so well put together. It's like a well-oiled machine, mechanics that just work together so well, and very bronze and gold and I don't know. But and then it went on, and then it went into Ambition Makes You Look Pretty Ugly, and it's like this feeling that felt really like moody, grungy, a little bit like dirty, almost a little bit darker, and I just love it when things like that happen. And then it had that real heavy rock sound that was a bit more aggressive, and it was like where did that come from? And that is true, that felt like real chaos. I was like, this is actually chaotic, but again, still beautifully gelled together, but just like the machine's working a little harder almost. And then it went to the Rain Down on Me, and it's all like all of the ahs bit, like, and they were so beautifully haunting, almost like you can almost see it on a winter's night, almost like Christmas carols, but not Christmassy. You know what I mean, though? It had a very somber, dark night, old streets of London sort of feeling. And when I was reading the Rain Down on Me from a Great Height, in my head, just hear me out, it almost sounds like this passive aggressiveness, and I don't know why. I just imagine it like, I think there's a saying that's like, I feel like I've been pissed on from a great height, or feel like I've been shat on from a great height, like it's the saying of, I feel like I've been trod on, I feel like I've, been humiliated, if you want to say that, or walked over. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but you know what I'm saying. I felt that energy from it, and then as I read further into it as they went, it was like, that's it, sir, you're leaving the crackle of pigskin, the dust and the screaming, the yuppies networking, the panic, the vomit. It seems, it was not pretty words, is it? It's not all like happy, positive sounding stuff. It sounds a bit dark. And then God loves his children, and then it goes into that hectic guitar again. It feels sarcastic. Maybe? I don't know. I'll have a look into it. I can't, with songs like this, I'm listening to so many things at a time, I cannot pick up on the meaning at the same time. No way. There is no way I could just pick up on that, like, first listen, if you know what I mean. Paranoid Android, the first single from OK Computer, is characterised by 3 distinct moods. Well, absolutely, because they are dissected into 3 sections, really, main sections, written in what Tom York referred to as 3 different states of mind. Ooh. The song's lyrics tie in with a number of themes common in OK Computer, including insanity, violence, slogans, and political objection to capitalism. A lot going on. York's lyrics were based on an unpleasant experience at a Los Angeles bar, during which he was surrounded by strangers high on coke. In particular, York was frightened by a woman who became violent after someone spilled a drink on her. The woman inspired the line, kicking, squealing, Gucci little piggy. Damn. In the song's second section, York described her as inhuman and said, there was a look in this woman's eyes that I'd never seen before anywhere. Couldn't sleep that night because of it. Oh God, that gave me goosebumps. I literally got goosebumps when I read that. Me like, Calm down, neck hairs. In an issue of Rolling Stone, the band has compared the song to other multi-part rock pieces by famous artists and tackled the often raised comparison with progressive rock. Progressive rock. I really wouldn't have thought about progressive rock. Not to say it isn't, but it isn't. Okay, let's just see what Tom York has said. Tom York had said, it was 50% Bohemian Rhapsody. If I could ever get that many vocals together, and 50% Happiness is a Warm Gun. Ed O'Brien said, to me, the song sounded like Queen meets the Pixies. I hear that, actually. I hear that. That's great. People thought it was prog, but prog always took itself so seriously. And Paranoid Android, there's a kind of serious message in there, but it's kind of cartoon-like. Absolutely. And when I thought of the android, like beep-a-doop, boop, beep, boop, it was like a characterized robot, and it almost gave it like a cartoony, comical feeling to it. Prog's more, like they said, takes himself more seriously, but I wouldn't say all of prog takes himself too seriously. I wouldn't. But they would have, their songs for one would be a lot longer, a whole lot longer. And the guitar and stuff can be kind of over-exaggerated to the utmost degree. And it can take you on many weird psychedelic journeys as well, I suppose, and spacey journeys and so on like that. And I don't know, I just wouldn't say it's exactly prog, and they don't think so too, so I guess it isn't. You know, and obviously there are some influences from it, but I wouldn't say big ones. Johnny Greenwood said, there's a Mellotron on it. I remember hearing a Genesis record and thinking the Mellotron sounded amazing, so I stole it. It was either nursery crime or selling England by the pound. It didn't sound like any other keyboard. Instead, there was a choir, and a weird effed up sort of choir. I love the fact that the notes run out after a few seconds. Some relative of the inventor was trying to remake them and had a few. They came with the tapes in and it turned out they all belonged to Tangerine Dream, which is getting into prog territory. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because like, of course, like they do use interesting guitar sounds, like beep doo 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 doo, you know, relative to jazz music and so on, which of course prog music is relative to jazz. But also that's the other thing that it reminded me to say, because I wanted to say after, when he did he sang a line and then the bass mimicked the line. That's a call and response, and I talk about call and response a lot. Condition makes you look pretty ugly. Usually in pop music, call and response would be like, so can't read my, no, it can read my poker face. And then the crowd goes, she's got me let nobody. You know, it's in the lyrical content, the lines sort of bouncing back and forth. Or when you've got like rap, everyone can figure out what the last line is. The last word might be, because it might be emphasized in the song. You know, like think about Eminem. Hi, my name is, hi, my name is, hi, my name is Chicka Chicka Slim Shady. The hi, and then everyone goes, my name is, you know, it's a call and response. So, but then it started, I believe it started in jazz, where, you know, you'd get the singer on stage, and then the singer would go ba ba dee 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 ba da 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 do, and then the guitar or the saxophone or whatever would be like obviously a lot more fun and complex than that, but you know, I just did that off the top of my head. So it would come, you know, the jazz singer would scat, make some interesting sounds, and then the scat would usually be kind of improvised too, so the guitar or whatever melodic instrument would mimic the scat, and it would be like an impressive and fun sort of musical take. And they did that here with the bass and the vocal. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought about it because call and response is such a popular thing in music everywhere, every genre, every single genre. Call and response is a thing, but it was very much amplified in jazz. And I feel like Radiohead took it to the jazz sort of element, but in a rocky jazz form, you know, rather than, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think you do. I get so, my brain starts working super fast and I end up going, wait, what, where am I going with this? But yeah, no, I liked that. Anyway, I am going to move on because I could be here for hours, and this is the second song and it's been 33 minutes. All right, this might have to be a 2-part video, not for you, but for myself, because I got a friend coming over a bit later, and I bet I'll only be on song 4. But anyway, let's do it. Subterranean homesick alien. That's a mouthful, but I like it. That's pretty. Now that is like a beach. It's like a beach in space.
The breath of the morning, I keep forgetting the smell of the warm summer air. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement.
Wow. Wow, that's dreamy. Ooh, it gives me shivers a little bit.
Folks back home lock up their spirits, draw holes in themselves, live for the secret.
Wow. Uptight. The vocal. This gives me the Doors a little bit. Uptight. Oh, I love that. I don't know how they do this.
The country lane, late at night when I'm driving. Take me on board, show me the world as I'd love to see.
It's so comforting, yet completely like concerning. I can't.
But I'd be
Oh, this is sparking so many thoughts. Wow, it shifted when I was singing and I was like, oh shit. Okay, so that was the shortest song so far. It felt short too. It did feel weirdly short. I just want to mention about it that without looking at the lyrics and knowing what the song's about, it had this super dreamy feeling, like I said, a beach in space, you know, and I've said that, funnily, I've said that very same thing about Wise Blood before, about her music, and one of her songs had a very dreamy beach feeling in space, and I got reminded of that sensation right here. There's something about it. When I said it's soothing but concerning, I couldn't think of the right word, and then it came to me. It's like it feels like a false sense of security, where it's soothing, but there are some detuned moments on those, I don't know, little synthy, like a microchord or some sort of sound where you can go, you know, it's oscillating and pitch bending and so on. So it's detuning a lot, giving it that haunting space sound that like makes you feel less comforted and a little bit like wary, I suppose. I found that really interesting, just like, I don't know, and thinking about that because he was talking about aliens and so on. Up above, aliens hover, yeah, and then it said this whole thing about, I wish they'd swoop down in a country lane late at night when I'm driving, take me on board their beautiful ship, show me the world as I'd love to see it. You know, this whole big moment. He's telling the story here. This is what he wished, and he wished he could tell his friends. They wouldn't believe him, but he'd be fine. He'd be fine about that because he saw the world in the way that he'd want to see it, and that's enough for him. He'd be okay. And then he, you know, the whole I'm just uptight interests me. He's like, I'm just uptight, because being uptight is like being like a little bit stiff, narrow-minded, or, you know, a little bit like, yeah, I'll just keep it at that for now, because my brain doesn't always work on the spot. I'm going to look into the about section though, because I don't want to get too long on this and it be forever. So, in Subterranean Homesick Alien, Tom speaks of being isolated or different from the rest of his brethren. He wishes an alien colony can take him away just so he could be a silent observer instead of an active participant in this unfair game we call life. The song title is a take of Bob Dylan's Subterranean Homesick Blues, but the similarities of the song end there. Oh, that's interesting, and I get it.
So I went on to explain a bit about the uptight line, and it got really confusing when I was watching it back. I was like, oh, there's no amount of editing I could do to like make it make sense. I don't know what my brain was doing, but it just wasn't working out. I just wanted to say I like how, you know, at the start Tom says they're all uptight as he's looking down on the human, saying they're all uptight, as in they're all so nervous and anxious, and you know, we're always trying to get somewhere. We take life too seriously, basically. But then at the end, he's saying, I'm just uptight, because him judging people like that is almost uptight too, being like all uptight about other people's moods, you know, the way other people live, like, oh, why are they being so like this? Why are they so like that? Ugh. And it makes him anxious that like the world is like that, and that also makes him uptight though. He should just not care, you know, and that's the opposite of being uptight, is not caring about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah, I really like that one though. I feel like I wanted to say more, but I can't think exactly what the words would be right now. Oh, well, I guess I did want to mention one thing, which is it's funny because that is a common feeling, I'd have to say, especially for deep thinkers or artists or maybe even introverts, you know. And I think of Aurora in the same breath, because she's got many songs about wanting to be taken away in a mothership and, you know, feeling like a different kind of human, you know, which is the name of, you know, one of her albums and a song, I think, as well. So I get it, and it's a very, I'd say it's pretty common, I would. So I liked that about the song too. It was relatable. In a verse where he said, going down country roads, he wishes that driving in his car, he wishes he could be abducted. I just imagine my stepdad, because like his mum lives out in countryside. So I could imagine my dad like driving those country roads when he was a bit younger, listening to this song and relating to it. I don't know, or just like feeling it, being in the zone with it, because he would have been genuinely driving down country roads. I just thought of that and I thought it was really sweet. But anyway, next song is Exit Music, and I have certainly heard this song because, sorry, my ears really playing up. Yeah, I've definitely heard this song in the car with my stepdad a few times. He told me what the song was about, and it was for a film. So yeah, I remember the song was made for a film. I think it was made for Romeo and Juliet. But when I was growing up, for some reason, I feel like my stepdad said it was about a woman leaving a DV, you know, like a domestic not nice situation. It could come across like that if you just listen to the lyrics. You can read it in that way, and maybe in some ways it was. Maybe somewhere Tom said something like that as well. But so I've always looked at this song as something like that. But that's the way I've always thought of it. But I do know it was for Romeo and Juliet and so on. So, but anyway, let's listen to it. This song is very an emotional song, very emotional song, but I really love it. So let's get into it.
Wake from your sleep, dry your tears today. We escape.
I was always under the impression that's a mum talking to her children, trying to leave a bad partner, you know.
Before your father hears us, all hell breaks loose. Breathe, keep breathing.
It's got those choir keys that was mentioned earlier on a different song.
Us a song, us one, such a chill.
Oh. So much chills.
We hope that you choke, that you choke.
This bit used to make me cry though.
We hope that you choke, that you choke.
Oh. And that like interesting field recording as well, like sounds like children, like, and there's wind in there as well, like I don't know, like a weird home recording sound. That was, oh, I just love that song though. And like the funny thing is, I remember we used to hear it on tape, because I think the car at the time when I used to hear this often was we only had a tape player in the car, so the song was way more muffled and like crispy, and you know, so to hear it with that clarity felt like I was listening to a completely different song in some ways. Not completely different, but very different. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I love that song. I'm not going to look too much into the about section. I'll have a skim when I'm editing and look at it for myself. But yeah, it's funny. I do think of it now, like it does sound like, even though it's Romeo and Juliet, it makes sense for that. It does also make sense for women and men in, you know, bad situations at home and trying to run away with the children and to safety, trying to leave that relationship. It sounds like that too. And that I hope that you choke, that anger you feel, the aggression you feel, and like pain that you feel from all the pain that they've done to you. It makes total sense. And I think that's why it used to make me cry so much as a child, because unfortunately, like I know too many people who have been in that situation. So yeah, anyway, next song is called Let Down. Let's go. Those cymbals. That reminds me of Joni Mitchell, the cadence. Down and hanging around, hanging. You can imagine a little yodel in there. Twinkly. The vocals on each side, stunning. Nice. That song was oddly tame compared to the other songs. Of course, you could say Exit Music was tame, but there were still experimental aspects with like the field recording. But Let Down actually felt like a more, dare I say, generic kind of, indie kind of rock song of the 90s in some ways. Not in a bad way either, just a bit more, relaxed, I'd say. It was still something that took me, that sparked my brain as well, as just the fact that the music's always so complex and lots of different notes and melodies all happening at once. And Tom York's, vocal is always like a long stretched kind of, it's like it stretches over the complexities, giving it a contrasting kind of feeling, like pulling them apart a little bit, layering it more, I guess. But I quite enjoy that though. I found it to be a nice song, nothing too exciting or whatever, but it was just nice, gentle, relaxing, whatever. The About section. It was recorded at 3 a.m. in a ballroom at the historic St. Catherine's Court. The song structure features multi-layered arpeggiated guitars and electric piano with unconventional time signatures and a spectresque wall of sound. Absolutely. Completely. Couldn't have said it any better if I'm honest. That makes complete sense. Tom York explained, sentimentality is being emotional for the sake of it. We're bombarded with sentiment, people emoting. That's the letdown. Feeling every emotion is fake, or rather every emotion is on the same plane, whether it's a car advert or a pop song. Johnny Greenwood added, Andy Warhol once said that he could only enjoy his own boredom. Letdown is about that. It's the transit zone feeling. You're in a space, you are collecting all of these impressions, but it all seems so vacant. You don't have control over the earth anymore. You feel very distant from all these thousands of people that are also walking there. Okay, well, I get that to some degree, a level of detachment, and I feel that in particular scenarios, I'd have to say. I feel a very strong sense of that in particular scenarios that I can't be able to go into. Detachment's a very, very real thing as well, it's very much a mechanism as well. And then when you see other people expressing themselves like this, la 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 la, it can be almost like cringy or a little bit infuriating or annoying. It can look very like a show is being played, like an act, like a movie. And within depersonalization, within detachment, you can often feel like you are in a movie. It actually feels like that. So it sounds a little bit like detachment to me, but that's without looking too deeply into it, of course. He also said, that came from being in a bubble and looking at things as they pass by me. If you spend all your time time traveling on airplanes or on buses or whatever, you're bound to get this sense, like in Letdown. It's like hanging on to something and having the floors collapse underneath you. Ooh. Saying it's a letdown when people are too sentimental kind of makes me laugh. And in some ways, by clicking on the letdown again, it says, continuing with the pattern of optimism followed by pessimism, the speaker is eager that one day she will grow wings and learn to fly, but she has been let down repeatedly in life thus far, so one should not expect things to change for the better in the hamster wheel society in which we live. So I get that too. I guess it's also like he doesn't want to be sentimental because he doesn't want to give the world and change and society and politics, I guess, too much power. He doesn't want to believe in something too hard because he is constantly let down.
I also wanted to add that I think he's talking about, when you're waiting around at a bus stop or an airport, there's a lot of advertisement, and he obviously talked about car adverts earlier on. So all these advertisements and stuff are manipulating our emotions, making what they're selling have sentimental value, so that we feel more, like we want to buy it, like we want to go get that thing because we have an emotional attachment to it. It's basically like advertisement is manipulating. And in places like airports and bus stops and train stations, you see advertisement absolutely everywhere. So he's almost looking beyond the matrix, I guess, and saying it's kind of sad and a letdown that this is what our world is coming to, I guess. And maybe even with technology as well. When I think about 2022 anyway, I think of that, how we're all on our phones, or we got our laptops, or headphones. We don't just sit and be bored for a minute if that makes sense. So our imagination is never really being sparked because we're just we're consuming so much stuff. I know we can be inspired by things, but you know what I mean. I'm going back to the Andy Warhol comment, I guess, and the fact that he said he needs to be bored to, take in impressions and so on. But the impressions around us at an airport are things like adverts and sales and, overpriced things. So something like that. I don't know. I guess that just sparked a thought for me, but I don't know.
Right, anyway, moving on. I know that went on forever, but that's just what I'm like, okay? I can't believe how long this has been going, and like, damn, Radiohead. It's just Radiohead. What can I say? Right, next one is called Karma Police. Let's go. Oh, I know this one. Yeah. Not like, oh, I know it so well, but I know it. I feel like it's a really famous one.
This man, she's like a digital radio.
Love the melody.
It's making me feel ill. This is what you get.
I feel like I know this song way more than I know this song a lot.
You get when you mess with us. I'm giving all I can, it's not enough. I'm giving all I can. You get. This is what you get. Mess with us.
I love this song. That's penetrating. The piano? Oh, that's a little 2-minute moment. I'll come back to that. But yeah, I forgot how much I knew that song. I guess I never knew the name of it. I always just heard it in the car, I think. And like, I feel like it's just a really famous song, right? I don't know. I just feel like I knew it way more than I thought I would. And it's like, what? Okay. I'm going to go straight to the About section. One of several stunning singles from Radiohead's heavily influential masterpiece, OK Computer, Karma Police is a haunting atmospheric track. Tom York's strained, lackadaisical vocals are at once warm and sinister, echoing the delusions of an addict in the midst of a narcotic meltdown. I've had one of those. Not very long ago, actually. I had one of those, a narcotic meltdown. But then I came out of it and I'm completely sober now. So, yeah, brilliant. Musically, the band follows a creamy dream. Oh, wait, you hold the front door. And it goes, phew, for a minute there, I lost myself. That hits. Oh, fuck. That hits home. Oh, no, for a minute there, I lost myself. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Relatable. Yeah, fuck. Yeah. Sorry. Oh. But obviously, like, I'm not saying those lines mean exactly that in this song, but to me, hearing, phew, for a minute there, I lost myself. I'm just saying it on a personal level. It makes me think of, now that the narcotics or whatever you want to call it an addiction has been brought up, it made me think of that, like almost like this interesting feeling to that. I don't know, just being like, to get through addiction and get through being going cold turkey and so on is such a dark harrowing place to be. And to just say, oh, I lost myself for a minute there, feels like such a throwaway comment, but it almost makes it so beautiful in the fact that you can say that again. You can say that. I don't know if that makes sense, but like when you're in the addiction and it's the darkest place ever, you're like, I'm never going to be okay again. This is living hell. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So you can't imagine joking around going, oh, phew, I lost myself for a second now, I'm all right now. But now, once you're out of it, like weeks down the line, you can say that. And it's almost unbelievable that you could say that, because you never would believe that you could say that. Sorry, that's heavily deep. Maybe I'm getting a little sentimental. But, you know, I felt that. Wow. Okay, sorry. Let's keep going. Musically, the band follows a creamy, dreamlike chord progression that makes use of an old Beatles melody laid out on the piano to create a velvety bed of uneasy comfort. Funny saying about uneasy comfort, because, you know, I was saying in previous song about the false sense of security, soothing but concerning. Despite this, both Tom York and Johnny Greenwood have claimed that the song was meant to be comedic, providing levity to an otherwise tense and despondent album through lyrics that were not entirely serious. And I have to admit, when I first was listening to the song just now, and then I lost myself there, I was reading that in a comical way. It felt very British to me, being like, oh, sorry about that, oh, I got lost in that, back in the room, you know? And I actually read it that way. It's so weird that, like, they said that, because I felt that. You know, the whole, like, it's just conversational. For a minute there, I lost myself. Phew. For a minute there, I lost myself. It feels very like, oh, whoa, where did I go, man? The song is comedic about that. But yeah, it still talks about karma police too. So I'm like, what the hell does karma police have to do with any of this? Oh yeah, I guess when it goes, this is what you'll get. If when you mess with us, it's like, you know, what you'll get is karma. You know, whether it be good or bad, you'll get karma. So I guess, yeah, these songs are deep and there's always layers to them, so I'm never going to fully get every little detail. But Tom York has said karma is important. The idea that something like karma exists makes me happy. It makes me smile. Karma Police is dedicated to everyone who works for a big firm. It's a song against bosses. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I wonder where the whole narcotic thing, addiction thing came in. This is what I mean by these songs have layers. I'm like, what? What? I'm so confused. Ed O'Brien said when someone in the band behaved like an a-hole, one of the others always said, the karma police is going to get you. I suppose it's all rubbish that your destiny depends on your deeds in a previous life, but you have to trust on something. Yeah. I get that too. You know, you have to have some sort of belief system, whether it be science, religion, or just something within you, calm, whatever, just anything. But yeah, I'm not going to read every detail. I know that a lot of you tell me lots of things anyway, so I really enjoy that as well. I lost myself. And in a way that sorry, I'm still going on about it, but like the whole I lost myself could also relate to the whole being in a big firm company, working there, and then quitting the job and being like, oh my God, I was so wrapped up in that, almost like a cult. Climbing the career ladder like it's a cult, and then you come out of it and go, why did I put so much effort into that? What? And you forgot yourself, lost yourself. But anyway, moving on for real. Next song is called Fitter, Happier. I'm not sure if it's on an actual song though, because it sounds like some weird computer generated voice.
More productive, comfortable, not drinking too much, baby smiling in backseat, sleeping well, never washing spiders down the porthole, keep in contact with...
I actually never kill spiders. I got one living in the corner of my room.
No killing lots or putting boiling water on the hands.
This is really scary. All these rules to be happy.
An empowered and informed member of society.
And it's in that robot voice because it's like perfection.
Still cries at a good film. Still kisses with saliva. Ability to laugh at weakness. Calm. Fitter. A pig. In a cage. On antibiotics.
That's real as well. A pig in the cage on antibiotics. Literally, it's in our meat. That was absolutely mortifying and terrifying and still completely correct. And yeah, it reminded me of the movie They Live, and I posted something like that on my community page the other day on YouTube. And you know, when he puts on the glasses, it says all this stuff like obey and stuff like that. I can't remember what else it says, like obey, like no future, conform, consume, I think stuff like that. So that it reminded me of that a lot. And it's really freaky though, like all these different things, like if you do all these things then you can live a happy life. But it's almost like saying at the end a pig in a cage on antibiotics. It almost feels like it's referring to us as people, like we are pigs in a cage being dosed with antibiotics. And antibiotic obviously gets rid of infections and so on, but it's not good for you to have too much of it, of course, and especially if you don't need it. And also, like, antibiotics is in our meat, and by eating meat with antibiotics in it, it makes us less, antibiotics wear off. Antibiotics, you can't use the same antibiotic for the rest of your life because your body has its own antibodies in it, and it almost like fights it, the antibiotics. If I'm not correct, please do correct me. I'm not saying it very well, but yeah. Oh, very creepy and dark and real. Yeah. I'll just read this little about section. Fitter Happier is a list of bullet points that diagnosed society for what it was and where it was headed at the time of this song's release, and arguably the world we live in now. Yeah, sure. It specifically lists it in a matter-of-fact way to reflect the entire ethos of modern society being unemotional and cold. With the melancholic background melodies, the song becomes one of the most frightening songs on the album, but it is only describing modern life. Clearly something is wrong with our society then. Ooh, whoever wrote that did a good job. Because yeah, I was thinking about the little melody in the background. It sounded like something that's already a song. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. It sounded a bit like that. But anyway, I was thinking about, why has it got that interesting piano bit in the background? All I thought is it felt creepy, but I felt like there was going to be more meaning to it. And yeah, I reckon there is, maybe just to give it that disturbing feeling of it being dark. And clearly something is wrong with our society then, said this person who wrote the genius thing. And you know, I will say absolutely, but they are only listing things that are wrong with society because there are also nowadays and probably back then too, there are also probably just as much good things in society, but they're not as loud as the bad things. And that's the point. That's the point, you know? We want to fight for the good things to get louder and better and the little things to become diminished. This track is arguably the most accurate in describing what OK Computer is all about. The lyrics and images adapted from the album artwork were used on advertisements in music magazines, signs in the London Underground, and shirts. The main lyrics are recited by a synthesized voice called Fred. Fred is found on the simple text application supplied with 90s Macintosh computers such as LC2. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, next song is Electioneering. Interesting name. Let's go for it. Oh, I like that.
I was stuck with nothing. Say the right things, just like
You vote. I like that. Oh, I like his vocal. Okay. Got a very like Stratocaster feel. The vocals are going down, the guitar's going up at the same time. gritty. It's like trebly, gritty, but trebly. Cool. Brilliant. Okay, yeah, what an interesting trebly kind of, you know, sound, like aggressive sound in a way. It's almost like the sound was almost like irritated. I don't know. It had like a to it, like a frustration and annoyance in it, but the treble being so, and then it's all like that, felt almost like a frustration. I felt that in it, and it was very political, absolutely. And also, what I was trying to say is, when he goes, "When I go forwards, you go backwards," and then the guitar's going, down, 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 and they're going at different times, up and down, and he's saying, "When I go forwards, you go backwards." You might have already got that, but I thought I'd explain it again without the music playing. I liked that though, really, really picked up on that, and I thought it was cool. In the About section it says, one of the straightforwardly political songs in the Radiohead catalogue. It captures the unrest against neoliberal policies that plagued the globe in the late 1990s and would soon culminate in major anti-globalisation movement protests all across the world. All world, it says all world. I think it meant to say all across the world or something. Yeah, originally a standout from the Radiohead set while touring with REM, the record label decided not to release Electioneering as a single after the record version was not as well liked as the live version. Well, yeah, it's such a manic song. It has energy to it. The live version, of course, is going to be some, you know, nothing less than epic. You know what I mean? So I can understand that, yeah. And I think around that time we had Tony Blair coming into power, and he was liberal, I think, Tony Blair. I was very young, so don't quote me on anything. But I think I was like 3 or 4 or something, or 5, I don't even know. But obviously he was liberal, but he wasn't very good. So, yeah. Tom York even said, we had Tony Blair coming into power and there was a lot of optimism in the air, but I think a lot of it was really self-serving. I was right about Tony Blair though. I did think it was around the time Tony Blair, because he's the first Prime Minister that I remember, you know, growing up. It's the first one I remember as a child. So yeah, he goes, there was lots of optimism in the air, but I think a lot of it was really self-serving. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into it because I don't really want to be a totally political channel. I do, you know, obviously I like it. It interests me and so on. I like it in the music, but yeah, can't be asked to get into the old politics of my own politics. You know what I mean? I just don't care. I'm over it. I'm certainly over politics right now. So yeah. But anyway, moving on, we've got Climbing Up the Walls. Okay, a little bit trippy. Oh, I love the sound of that. Ooh, his vocal felt really intimate then. Oh, it's moody. The creak. The vocal layering is cool. Oh, I love that. haunting, horror-like. Ooh, and that sounds like climbing up the walls, like a spider. But no, that song was very horror feeling, but it had a sexiness to it in the melody. And if you've seen my videos, or like a few of my videos by now, you'll probably know I very much like a dark, sexy, moody sound. Something about that is always just like hits right here. It is my taste, you know? So I really liked it for that reason. It sounded like terrifying. You know what I mean? And also like climbing up the walls is like a feeling of being trapped and overly stressed, you know? You know, if you're stuck doing something, like say you're stuck at work and you've been just going to work and not getting any time off, you're like, oh, I'm fucking climbing up the walls. I just need to get out. I need to escape. I'm so stressed. I'm stuck in my mind. It's like an insanity feeling. So I wonder if it has something to do with that. Right, let's go straight to the about section. Sung from the perspective of paranoid fear itself, Climbing Up the Walls takes the English idiomatic expression for utter unpleasant feelings, such as worry and doubt, giving the expression a voice. Ah, so it's like very much personifying the emotion, whatever you want to call it, of feeling fearful, feeling worried, feeling anxious, an anxiety anthem. You know, climbing up the walls of, and I relate it to stress a lot as well, feeling overwhelmed. That's what I relate it to. I'm climbing up the walls, you know, I'm trying to fucking escape. That's what I relate it to. Climbing Up the Walls is one of the first tracks by the band to be described as scary, relying heavily on strings, but not in a conventional way, as a string section composed by Johnny Greenwood alone features 16 different violins playing quarter tones apart from one another. Wow. Tom accompanies the chilling melodies with equally haunting lyrics about the relentless internal demons people face. It also says it serves to complement Reckoner from Radiohead's In Rainbows album. Oh, brilliant. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'd love to look into these lyrics a lot deeper as well, because I just know there's so much to them, so much meaning behind them that it's just, I don't know, filled to the brim. And yeah, it's very much an interest of mine to get deep into the songs, but it's hard to do in just one video, just one, you know, reaction. Anyway, next song is No Surprises. I absolutely do know this song, but I am absolutely happy to listen to it intimately and, you know, in a more analytical way. So let's go for it. It's like a lullaby, isn't it?
This is my final farewell. No alarms and no surprises, please. Pretty house, such a pretty garden, and no surprises, please.
Pretty, really pretty. Nice. That one's so, it is like a lullaby. It just is. It's so dreamy and pretty, and yeah, it just is nice. But I want to read what it's about, 'cause I've never really looked into that or wondered actually. Actually not a lot is fully written about this, not like anything deep. It did say it was the first song to be recorded for the album, and the band actually stuck with the original recording, but they had done endless versions, but then went back to the original. But yeah, if there's nothing written, I'm not going to get too deep into it. I know the song and I really like it. I wouldn't say I liked it as much as Karma Police, which is another one I knew, and I don't like it as much as Exit Music. Out of the three I know, I'd have to say that was probably my least favourite of the three, but I still think it's a beautiful, wonderful song. All right, next song is called Lucky. It's such a funny kind of, like, it's gone all gold in here. I've probably just screwed up that whole thing, but oh well.
I'm on a roll this time.
It reminded me of something.
Kill me, Sarah, yesterday.
Wow. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Beachy guitar again. Ooh, that's nice. I love the slow jam to this. That like wow wow gives it a tremolo, gives it like a western feel. Wow, that's nice. Oh, that landing chord is fantastic. What is this? Oh. That is lovely. You can really feel that. Oh, I really like that. Wow. Do you know what? I think I kind of lost myself in that one. It's one of those ones where I was like, oh, wait, I'm gone. I lost myself for a minute. I lost myself. Oh, that's so good. Lucky, the penultimate track from OK Computer, was written around the time of the 1990s Bosnian conflict and recorded to be featured on relief record The Help album. The song was originally more politically explicit, but the finished project, which describes a plane crash, heavily reflects Tom York's fear of long-distance travel. He's talked about that a lot, you know, about buses, planes, driving, lots of travel. He talked about obviously the car crash and stuff, and this, you know, this song was mentioned when I was reading about that song, so the Airbag song, you know. Subject of other Radiohead numbers such as Airbag, yeah, like I said. Producer Nigel Godrich has stated that the completion of Lucky was the starting point for what would become OK Computer. Yeah, I loved it. I really, really loved that song. It's such a... when it got to the, like, you know, the instrumental break with the guitar solo and that wah, 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 old western kind of feel to it, and, you know, it all just came together in such a like lose yourself sort of way, I guess. Interesting that it's about a bloody aeroplane crash. And I'm there like, oh, that's great. And I loved it. We are standing on the edge, and then as it lands onto the chord, almost like, I can't remember what those chords are called. Like, I know it's a transition chord, but the way it that felt more of a landing chord, you know, like I don't know. It's very, I don't know. It's just so beautiful, so beautiful. It just did something to my ears and my brain that I loved. All right, last song now, and it's called The Tourist. Let's go. Sorry if this video ends up being like one colour to the next colour, like, because obviously when I started it was daylight and it's getting darker, so I've only got my light on me, and then the colours shift, and then the camera doesn't adjust. Just bear with it. I'm sure it'll be okay. But anyway, let's go. I love that warm guitar sound. I like that. I love that. The melody. Heavenly. That's beautiful. This song to me is the most beautiful on the album. I'm not saying it's my favourite, but it's stunningly beautiful. Bass and the drum. Wow. Oh my god, I've heard that on another album before. I don't know what album it was, but when it said ting at the end. I've heard it on a couple songs before from different artists, but I always feel like when you have a ting at the end, it feels like this alertness. It's like we've just been on a trance within the song. Like, it's so slow in a sense, and it's funny, he's going, hey man, slow down, slow down. It made me think of being in traffic and, like, you know, in car park, you know, cars driving fast or whatever, and it's like, slow down, but I don't know, it made me think of that. But you're on this trance of it, then a ding, it's like a wake up, back to reality. Yeah, yeah, I always find that with that. But I'm interested to see what that's about. Oh, I can take these off properly now. The Forest. The Tourist is the final track on OK Computer, punctuating the album with soaring guitar solos and ethereal vocals. The track is about enjoying life. When a tourist visits a place, he usually feels like he has to do a lot to take in the sights. Okay, I did want to say, when I was listening to the song, I thought of the car thing of being like, slow down, being in traffic. But I also thought, I think it's more than that. When I was listening, I think it's talking to anyone, like talking to people, just slow down what you're doing, take a moment to take in the present, breathe in the air, look around you, you know, taste the food you're eating, and you know, feel the things you're touching, and, you know, being very present and mindful. I thought that too, but I forgot to mention it. Doesn't matter, I'm mentioning it now. So this was written by Johnny Greenwood in a response to seeing a group of tourists dash through a town in France. It was intended to be a song about the speed you live your life with. York later added lyrics that he'd written on holiday in Prague. The song, and thus the album, ends with a triangle prominently chiming. Yeah. Ding! Stop. Slow down. No, you know what? Don't even slow down. Just stop. Okay? You need to hold your horses and think, stop for a minute. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Really enjoyed that. And that, I think that was a really good end song as well, like, because it's just like this moment. It is a message. It's a message, and it's saying, slow down, relax. So when you finish your album, it's like a moment to be like calm, grounded, at peace with everything we've just heard and everything. It took us on a journey and ended in peace. Again, like, you know, when I started this, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get into that space again, like I did within Rainbows, and that space of like feeling comfortable and calm and analytical and just enjoying the sound. So it's like musicality and so on like that. And then after I said it, I went, oh God, what if the album doesn't give me that feeling? But it did. It did exactly that. I knew it, and it hit in that same way. I feel like I did when I did the In Rainbows album reaction. I feel the same. Radiohead has an interesting effect. And some of it is down to just how smart they are musically and how experimental they are too, in a sense of like they're not afraid to experiment with lots of different things and make them work, and they're so talented too, and the songwriting and the singing is pure talent, and I get to marvel at its kind of beauty, at the artistry. It's really fun to react to Radiohead. It really is. And you know, I can't wait to do more Radiohead, if I'm honest. I can't wait. And I know I can't do them super fast all the time, but actually it's nice because I get to all these other ones, and then I look forward to doing, you know, other ones I enjoy, other albums I enjoy, of course, but different speeds, different vibes. And then I get to do Radiohead again, and it's like that moment of grounding myself and just going, entering a different part of my brain when listening to music. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my reaction. I've been filming for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah, and you know what? If I went into every detail of things I wanted to say, it would have been unreal. Like, it would have been like 4 or 5 hours, I reckon. Oh God, I can't even imagine. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to edit this one, even though I've done a lot of talking and I get sick of seeing myself talk. But yeah, if you did like, please do comment, subscribe, and like, and all those things. And yeah, same again with the whole Patreon thing, all links in description and whatever. But anyway, I'm exhausted now and I'm starving. So yeah, I shall see you next time. Bye.